fuck you. Fuck your job. Fuck your precious goddamn badge and all your podcast bullshit. Fuck you, Max Williams. Fuck you straight to hell.
Welcome back to another episode of Spawnography. I'm one of your hosts, Pierce Lydon, pronouns they, them, here with, as always,
George Marston, pronouns they, them, and she, her. I almost said pronouns fuck and you because of the intro. I would wear that on a shirt, actually. I would put that on a shirt.
I'm sure you would.
Speaking of shirts, real quick shout out to friend of the pod, friend of the old pod, Audrey Whitesides, who I got a shirt from.
Oh, hell yeah. You got one of the I do not want to look or be cis.
You know, girls got to have goals, right?
Love that. Shout out to Audrey. Audrey's great.
Yep.
Listen to all of her bands.
Great musician.
Yep. We're going to finish up this Case File Sam and Twitch arc that we decided to cover because we thought we would be able to cover it because it's in the list. And then we realized that it is in a slightly experimental format that does not lend itself to podcasting.
Yeah. Well, if you listened to our last episode, and I hope you made it through, as we kind of did by the seat of our pants, you'll know that these issues consist of 3 separate timelines, all running kind of concurrently. And I think we'll be able to get through this one a little easier.
I think we figured out a way to cover it by the end of that episode. So,
right. So we'll also recap the kind of where the timelines are at. Before that, Pierce, how the hell have you been? We're in the week of Christmas, just a couple days away, and then of course your illustrious birthday.
It is my birthday, Junior, currently.
That's right.
I've been good. I'm like just trying to get through those last couple days before work is done.
I know that feeling.
For my birthday, I'm going to see the Islanders play. I'm playing the Devils.
I thought you were going to say Avatar and see the wet.
I am seeing Avatar on the 28th. Happy Avatar release to everyone who celebrates.
My partner Killian watched it and she said it was very long.
One of the movies of all time.
Yep. She likes the villain.
Sure.
Are they going to blast you with hot fire when you go to see it in 12D?
I hope so. I am seeing it in 4DX though.
They're going to shoot sparks in your shit.
Listen, as I've said many times on this podcast, I'm fine with these movies being okay. They are at least coherent.
Yeah, sure.
And they look cool. And they're not my favorite thing in the world. They're just kind of funny to fight about because like
they're so weird because again, for years Avatar was the kind of like cliche of like biggest movie of all time. No one ever talks about it. And now people talk about it a lot and there are consistently movies coming out. So it makes a lot of sense that it would be
Jameer Gibbs and his girlfriend for Halloween were Na'vi. Jameer Gibbs plays for a cat team in the NFL. He plays for the Lions. So it kind of makes sense that he would like the movie. And they're blue.
You'd think he'd maybe like that makes sense if they're blue.
Yeah,
that's right.
They're blue.
You know, Lions. I gotta say, you said the movie looks cool. I don't think it does. I know that's my preference. I don't like the blue cat people. They look like lesser Thundercats to me. And
sure, but this means that we could get toward good Thundercats.
No, I was gonna say if Avatar featured the Thundercats at this level of like quality and seriousness, I'd probably be such an absolute slut for that. I'd be in the 5D theater like.
Well, wait. We haven't talked about Street Fighter, have we? Because it looks. Here's the thing. I think the trailer is bad, but it looks crazy.
I have such mixed feelings about it because the cast is all memes. Like literally, they cast Orville Peck as
Vega because they wear
man wears a
masks.
mask. It's got Andrew Schultz in it, and fuck that guy.
Yeah,
He's
but
playing Dan Hibiki, but they
yeah,
put a big fake nose on him, and I don't think I like that for him.
I don't really
In general,
know who he is.
he is
So
a right-wing podcaster who had Donald Trump on his show, and like he was one of those like I'm just joking around, I talk to everybody, and then
like Theo
like
Vaughn.
yes, exactly. And
Okay.
then, like, as soon as all the crazy shit started happening, he's like, well, this isn't what I thought would happen. What he said isn't what I thought would
Is the
happen.
good thing at least that he's Dan, so like he will just get punched in the face and he's like
Sure.
the
The thing
joke?
sure. Again, though, they put a big fake nose on him. And for a guy like
See,
that,
I
I
didn't
don't
know what he
know.
looked like, so I just assumed he looked like that.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it.
Fair.
I
I like
actually
50
really love the
Cent.
character of Dan Hibiki. 50 Cent's also a piece of shit.
He's a piece of shit, but I like him his look for
Here's the
Balrog.
thing.
I like Cody Rhodes as Guile.
Half the dudes in that movie, almost all of them are fucking MAGA nerds. Roman Reigns is a fucking like absolute shithead. Like, so that's why the cast makes me like, ugh. Cody Rhodes as Guile, I actually fucking hate
Oh.
because I think Cody Rhodes is shit. One thing that I
What do
hope.
you like about it? How about this? I think there's a shorter list of things that you potentially like about the Street
Well,
Fighter
I'm
movie.
getting into all this for a reason,
Okay.
okay? Because I've been incredibly skeptical of this fucking movie. One thing I will say that I like about casting Cody Rhodes is it seems like they just took off his neck tattoo because that is a mistake that everyone should know about, is that he has the biggest, ugliest fucking tattoo on his neck that anyone has ever seen,
Is
of
it?
like an American flag skull gun thing with
Oh,
a
it's not. Is
crown.
it? Is it worse than Ben Affleck's like
Big
Phoenix
Phoenix.
back?
Well, yes, because it's on his fucking neck and you can't hide it.
Fair.
And it's huge. And everybody thinks it, everybody but Cody Rhodes hates it. And I don't think even he likes it that much. But
He's
I
just
like that they
committed to
edited
it.
it out. So here's the thing. I actually really like the original Street Fighter movie. I think that is a perfect so bad it's good. Like
Sure.
that is exactly the right kind of terrible for
To
me.
quote one of the greatest podcasts, what
What is
is a Street
a
Fighter?
Street Fighter? I knew exactly what you were gonna say. Shout out to How Did This Get Made? A great show. And a classic episode. But so there are things I like about the cast. Like you said, the looks, like the costumes are there.
Yeah.
It looks like they're doing the powers in the fights. Um, I really like. I'm fine with Jason Momoa as Blanca. I like. Oh, who was the one that I actually was like, that's great? Is fuck.
Ryu?
Ryu is fine. Shit, I feel like an idiot now. There's a lot of great looking characters in
Oh,
there.
David Domelshane as King
Yes, thank
Bison?
you. David Dastmalchian as Bison is exactly
Is
right.
that how you say his name?
Dastmalchian, I think so. Yeah.
Oh wow, I've been saying it completely wrong for a long time.
Yeah. One of
Well,
my coworkers interviews him quite a bit, and
no,
he seems like a pretty neat guy.
except for that AI movie he was in.
I watched that movie, Late Night with the Devil. The thing is, only like 3 seconds of it is AI.
Okay.
It's like title cards. And so they didn't need to use AI. They also made it like years ago before everyone really
Was
knew
mad about
about,
it.
and when it was
Knew the
still
effects
just
of it.
very
That's fair.
experimental. And I'm pretty sure the filmmakers were like, yeah, I don't think we go that route again. Not to
Uh,
defend the use of generative AI, I think it's bullshit,
there
but it
has
was a
been
fine movie. It was
a
a solid B plus,
there has been a
maybe a
recent
B.
further backlash against AI because the game of the year this year was Clair Obscura Expedition 33.
Yes.
Which, do you know the story behind the creation of that? It's basically
No, it's been okay. Look, so I work for a video game website. I don't usually write about games, so I catch a lot of the runoff of like, I know it was a controversial choice.
It was controversial because a lot of people were like, this game is fine, but it's not like reinventing the world.
Right.
And I think the narrative of the game is what really got people wrapped up in it, and also the art direction of the game is like pretty interesting.
Right. I've seen images from it. Yeah.
Also because like it is so French. It is a very European RPG, and we don't normally get RPGs that are not American or extremely Japanese.
Right.
And so like it is in the tradition of Final Fantasy, but it has this very different aesthetic and very different vibe overall because of that. And I think that made it feel very new and unique. And because also the Final Fantasy games haven't been great the last couple times around, people were like
something filling that void.
People were kind of starved for it. The other thing is the story of it is 8 employees leave a AAA studio and go, we want to make our own thing.
Okay.
And get together and make this game. And it's their first game, and they work on it for years, and it becomes game of the year. So it had that kind of underdog thing going for it, the narrative going for it. But people found out that during the concept like planning process, they used a bit of generative AI for newspapers and flyers within the game. Like as filler, and then when they needed the actual asset, they hired somebody to do it.
Okay.
And
I mean, again, I don't love that, but at least it didn't necessarily take a job away from someone who
it didn't go into the game, and it was also a scrappy small team before they had the funding to like they needed to get the funding to pitch the thing. Right. And
so I don't know. There's a lot of complicated stuff behind that.
Kind of like you said with Last Night of the Devil, it was a few years ago that they were working on the development of this game. So it was before these tools were as widespread and people were making like, as you've said before, just like, I don't know, Donkey Kong shit into Donald Trump's mouth or something.
Right. Yeah. So I will admit, one time back when it was like in the earliest days, when it was like Dolly 2.0 and it was just a website.
I fucked around with it. Totally.
I did it once. Okay. I did it once and it could not do what I was asking at the time. It probably would do it now and it would look like a shitty Thomas Kincaid painting, as all of them do. I tried to get it to generate an image of a cop praying on his knees to Frank Castle on a cross. And it couldn't do it. I was immediately disenchanted.
I had it show me Spawn giving a TED talk. Okay. It did a bad job of that, but it was vaguely that. Right. Anyway.
Yeah, well, there you go. I absolutely decry and despise every use of generative AI.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Same.
I'm sure there are fringe cases where it's like, yeah, fine. I know of some that are like, yeah, it doesn't make me not watch the thing necessarily. I will say something like Alien Romulus. There's a lot that goes into that I don't necessarily have a problem with. The deep fake of Ian Holm or whatever.
I mean, because his family signed off on it. So
his family signed off on it because, according to his wife, he always wanted to be asked back to another Alien movie. And that was one of the few things he didn't get to reprise.
It was like an honor of him. That's fine. Yeah.
And they used their own model of his face from the movies, etc., etc. It still kind of looked like shit to me. They also built a model and deep faked the face onto the
It looked bad. They should have just done it practically, and we would have been like, that looks weird, but at least it's real.
Yeah. So anyway, like I was saying, there are fringe cases where I'm like, I'm not going to fucking try to get into the morality of it. But as a general thing, I don't think you need to be doing those like the general you. Like, people don't need to be doing the fucking like, oh, I turned myself into a fucking
Miyazaki thing or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's trash.
So I am more so speaking of like video game and toy based media, I guess which Spawn is something of a toy based media
in some ways. Very, very much so. Yeah.
So Street Fighter movie, I'm tepidly interested in only because it's Street Fighter.
To get back around to that, yes, finally the trailer surprised me with how much I was kind of like, that's kind of cool, because Street Fighter is one of my favorite franchises of all time, and I think I will just be kind of happy if they show like actual Street Fighter fights, like a tournament where people are throwing fireballs and sonic booms and all kinds of all that shit.
I need one character to beat up a car.
That's in there. They showed it in the trailer.
Did they? Maybe I wasn't paying attention.
They showed it in the trailer, and that's when I was kind of like, oh man, I don't know. I'll probably sit through this. And like, it's controversial and dumb to me, but also like Street Fighter as a concept and as a game is kind of like equal parts like intense and like silly and weird, is kind of like, so I'm fine with a movie that is all three of those things.
See, for me, I was never the biggest Street Fighter fan, but I was a Mortal Kombat fan growing up.
And they got the new Mortal Kombat movie coming out too.
I'm pretty excited for that, actually.
I gotta say, I only watched the last one once because I thought like the main character guy was dumb.
Yeah, I think they're course correcting a little bit with this one, where they're like, "Oh, let's cast like a famous person to be an actual character who exists in the game."
The one thing that really had me captivated in that movie, though, that I still think about is how bad I wanted to fuck Kano. Like for some reason,
many such cases.
Australian dirtbag. I was just like, why does this guy fucking? This is the only cis man. You know what I mean? Like when you're bisexual, you're attracted to like every woman and non-binary person and trans person and one cis man. I was like, this is the most cis person I've ever been attracted to in my life. Like, I didn't get it, but I don't know. I still think about him. Still hot.
Josh Lawson.
Great. Don't at him.
You should. Oh, I just did.
Great.
Send him a photo of you. Should I not have done that?
Oh, he'll be impressed.
I probably. Yeah. I actually sent him a photo of your recent Master of the Universe haul. So.
Oh well, that is on Instagram right now. You can't see that on Instagram.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah. He was also on that show with Don Cheadle. That was pretty good. House of Lies.
Oh, okay. I watched a couple seasons.
He plays Doug Guggenheim. That's Kano.
Okay, I don't remember that, but
he's like the goofy tall guy that they make fun of all the time.
Vaguely remember.
Yeah,
I mostly remember Kristen Bell and Don
Ben Schwartz.
And Ben Schwartz, yeah. It's I watched maybe 3 seasons of that, but it was like 10 years ago, and I've had to make room for other things on the hard drive in my mind.
I hear you. And then, but also closer to your heart, Masters of the Universe movie.
Yeah, I will say this about that. I would be flat out excited for it if Jared Leto was not in it, and especially if he was not playing Skeletor, because I fucking love Skeletor. Okay, I know that's cheesy. He's a very corny character, especially like the cartoon. Frank Langella, who sucks as a guy, is incredible in the Masters of the Universe movie, much like Raul Julia in the original Street Fighter movie. Just a dude who absolutely knows what movie he's in. I fucking hate Jared Leto. I think he's a goddamn bad actor. I think he is a cult leader sex pest, and I think that he is a fucking drain on entertainment and society. Could not loathe him more. My opinions are not reflected by my employer.
Here's the thing that's wild about his career is that like he keeps getting put in like gigantic films.
Because he's an executive producer on all of them.
No, but yeah, sure. But like, whatever. Like, he keeps getting but he's not like an executive producer on fucking Tron.
He is.
No,
that is not. How. Yes, he is.
No, he's not. Don't tell me this. That's not true.
I'm pretty sure it is. I could be wrong, but Jared Leto is like AI. Executives keep pushing him, thinking he's going to finally work. And that there's finally going to be a hit.
Jesus, you're right. He is he's a producer on Tron, on Morbius.
I'm telling you, he is somehow his own Nepo baby.
Yeah, well, I guess getting an Oscar will do that. Not a great Oscar win.
Cuba Gooding Jr., also a piece of shit, wound up in Snow Dogs.
But wait, the rest of this, besides Jared Leto, the rest of the cast kind of slams,
right?
Like this is great. Although, who's gonna play Orko?
I don't know. I hope they put him in there. It's got, you know who I hope it is? I hope it's Patton Oswalt.
No, yeah, you can't keep doing that.
Maybe one time it'll stick.
I think it should be Griffin Newman. He's Orko
on. Should be Harry Styles
on Master Universe Revelation.
Oh yeah, is that any good? You know, I've never watched it. I kind of was like, you know what? I don't need this.
It's actually really weird because, well, it's a continuation of the original show.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. It's really weird because since Kevin Smith is doing it, Jay and Silent Bob do show up.
Is that real?
No.
You could have convinced me. Did we talk about Jay and Silent Bob reboot?
We have. We can't do this. We can't do it again.
Kevin Smith is in his own movie, commenting on his own movie as himself.
But wait, the rest of this He-Man cast fucking is sick. Idris Elba's Man at Arms, Morena Baccarin as the Sorceress, Alison Brie as Evil Lynn, Kristen Wiig as the voice of Roboto. I don't even know the He-Man guy, but I assume he's in stuff.
And what's his name? It's
seems to look like He-Man. Nicholas Galitzine.
Yeah, Nicholas Galitzine. I think he's a Netflix show man.
Yeah, I guess so. Seems like it.
Yeah.
Who else is in here?
I've heard
Sashir Zamata, half Thor Bjornsson is Goatman.
Which is weird because Goatman is a character that appears in the background of like one storybook. They did make an action figure of him. He's kind of cool.
Okay. Anyway, that could be. Oh, Camila Mendes as Tila.
It's a great cast, and it also has Jared Leto in it as arguably my favorite and the most.
You know, at least he'll be under a bunch of makeup, and maybe you'll forget.
I'll never forget, but maybe everyone else will carry the movie in a way that'll be good.
Fair. So what you're saying is that Jared Leto as Skeletor is kind of like your day that MCR started, in that you'll never forget.
Yes, it is an absolute tragedy for me on a personal level.
Gotcha.
The likes of which our nation has rarely seen.
Anyway, we have 3 more issues of Sam and Twitch to talk about, and I will say this off the bat. I appreciate the swing in terms of storytelling format. I don't care for this arc. Yeah. It made me go back and read Udaku, the first.
I'm glad you read it because I thought about it and I was like, I don't know.
Here's the thing. Brian Michael Bendis doing this, pretty easy read. Marc Andreyko, not bad at it. And also, there's not that many panels because of the format. Nope. So pretty easy read. I just kind of like felt like I got to the end and I was like, that's it? Like what?
The last little bit, the denouement is like,
we're gonna get into it because I have no idea what happens at the end of this, and I'm so lost. So before we like really get into these issues, like let me kind of recap Udaku for you. So it's 8 issues, and it is right when Sam and Twitch get put back on the force, but the rest of the police force doesn't really like them. They don't really trust them. There's a lot of like, oh, are they internal affairs? Like, what is this? And they keep investigating these crime scenes where there's like 4 cut off thumbs, 4 cut off ears, everybody's dead. What does it mean? Enter Casey, the forensic investigator for the case. And she says, well, the thing about it is they're all from the same person. But how can that be? You don't have that many of those things, right?
Right.
Through more research, like, you know, that's kind of there's like a classic procedural thing to that first arc that is on some level just very Bendis doing a crime story type shit where, you know, they're kind of as they're investigating, the forensic scientist, this Casey, is like getting closer and closer to the answer of what this thing might be, and like an issue literally ends with like, oh, I figured it out, and like to be continued, like that kind of thing. And now she's got a race to tell Sam and Twitch what's going on, so that blah 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 blah. Pretty classic setup. It's not a bad arc. It's pretty okay. There's some fun, like we get to see more of the fun dynamic between Sam and Twitch. We hear Twitch, lamenting his recent divorce or recent separation, but he kind of laments it to the wrong woman. She ends up, and he's just kind of venting about Sam and everything and the job and whatever. And it turns out that's the the internal affairs, like officer, Barbara, whatever the fuck her name is. And she's going to use that. She recorded it, and she's going to use that to like take them down, because Sam and Twitch are being made out to be sort of the patsies of the department.
Sure.
Despite them not doing anything wrong.
It's happened before.
Right. They keep getting hammered, though. Like, none of the other cops trust them, and Internal Affairs now is investigating them, and they don't really understand why. And what keeps coming up, though, in their investigation is this one word, udaku. And what finally happens is the wife of a police officer who told them udaku once says to Sam, like, listen, I lied to you the last time you interviewed me. I know all about it. You have to take this key, go to Grand Central, go to this lockbox, open it up. That'll tell you everything you need to know. My husband was afraid for his life, and they killed him anyway, and blah, blah, blah. This is also involved with like the Italian mafia at the time, the San Giacomo family. And it's a setup. Casey finds out that udaku are a South African like crime syndicate, and that they are basically like they're kind of like experimenting on people to make them into these like mush flesh monsters. That's why there's like 4 ears and 4 thumbs and 4 whatever they're of varying ages, because they're like constantly like mutating or whatever. Right. And that's why when Sam shoots one of them, his head kind of just like explodes, and like they're all wearing like trench coats all the time. You can't see who they are.
Very high strangeness.
Yeah, and so I mean, by the end of it, the Sam and Twitch are hold on, I wrote some notes, but like, so at the end they storm this hospital, and these assassins, more these udaku operatives, show up, and they fight off the assassins, pursue the leader. The leader reveals herself to be this woman, Cecilia. She basically says like, oh, this is how the guards change. Usually when you see it, it's something, what do you call it? The Oswald, insinuating that like when you need things to change in American politics, you typically have like a patsy like Lee Harvey Oswald as the reason for the thing. And that's what we're doing to you as we take over the mafia and the crime of New York City, but we're from South Africa. So whatever. She goes for her weapon. Twitch shoots her. And one of the things that she says that leads her to kill Twitch is she says, listen, you might get out of this. And if you do, and you don't go down for all of what we're doing, I'll kill your oldest. And then I'll kill your youngest. And then I'll just keep coming for you and your family. And so he shoots her. And he says to Sam, like, listen, she threatened my family. Like, I kind of just, it was instinctual, whatever. So anyway, it's like, yeah, we're doing this like Serpico, dirty cops, like, like, what could be at the center of it all?
Holding the thin blue line, so to speak, for each other. And, it's, I've been frustrated with stories like this for a little while. I'm not saying this accusingly. I'm saying this as kind of an incidental byproduct of how these stories are written. They kind of wind up being propaganda.
Yeah.
Because like there's so much in a world of like Spawn and superheroes and like supernatural stuff, you can kind of get beyond the morality of that because it's kind of already very arch, and like there are cosmic forces that don't exist that we can't reckon with the same way. But in something very grounded like this, especially, it's like, okay, well, I know dirty cops exist. I know cops kill people. I get that you're justifying this through the threatening of his family, something that will continue through this arc. But it's like, there's not a reason that anyone who is empowered by the state should have extrajudicial power over life and death. And I think that it's just a trope that, like, again, Marc Andreyko, Brian Bendis, they weren't sitting down and going like, this will really show the police in a specific way. They're responding to, like, again, Serpico, The Shield, these different stories
Law
that have
and
been
Order,
told.
even, yeah.
Yes, over the years, these are common tropes. So,
Well,
like, I'm not, again, not saying it
and in comics
accusingly in this case.
specifically, Commissioner Gordon, right? Like, Sam and Twitch are the Commissioner Gordon of Spawn comics, and that's kind of the easiest parallel to make, you know. But I agree with you. Like, these stories are kind of frustrating sometimes because you're like, well, I'm to believe that they're just good guys all the time.
And also, I don't know, there's just another, the ending of this arc is kind of strange.
Yeah.
So before we get into it, you know what, Pierce? You know
Yep.
what you should do? You know what I want right now? I want you to hit me with those credits.
Great. This is Case Files, Sam and Twitch. Number 4. Todd McFarlane Image Comics present Have You Seen Me? Part 4, story by Marc Andreyko. Art by Scott Morse. Colors by Jay Photos. Cover by Scott Morse. Lettering by Comic Crafts, Jimmy Betancourt. And I'll read the summary because the summaries are really going to help us parse exactly what we're talking about as we go through. So here's the number 3 summary. After trying to convince his fellow detectives that his dead girlfriend is involved in the death of one of his children, Twitch receives an ominous phone call on the street, and Sam is subpoenaed as the star witness in the prosecution's case against Detective Max Williams.
Yep, and some of that is clear in the story, and some of it isn't quite. So, okay. One more thing we need to recap is the 3 timelines that are going on here. So just to sum up, hopefully you listened to our previous episode. If you didn't, you know, the storytelling is a little tough to parse through some of it, but I hope you'll go back and listen to it if you haven't, because this is the second half of the story. We get a little more in depth about each timeline in that episode. But for the quick recap, the TLDR is the first timeline shows the events of the kidnapping and murder of Twitch's daughter, his eldest daughter.
Yeah. And then kind of the immediate aftermath of that.
Yes, the aftermath of his daughter's funeral.
Yeah. So it's like first timeline is like, I'm sorry to cut you off because you were explaining it fine, but I think its first timeline is the events leading to and including the abduction, murder of his daughter up to the funeral. The second timeline starts at the funeral.
Right. And then the third timeline shows the aftermath of whatever happens after the funeral, in which Twitch is in jail and he's going to be on trial for murder.
Right.
Presumably and kind of implicitly for killing the murderer of his own daughter. So the first timeline in this issue opens with Twitch telling his wife she needs to go away. We already know that she's off somewhere. We know that he won't tell his attorney, who he dislikes, where she is. He's telling her he doesn't think it's safe for her and the kids. And he is telling her, you know, I wish that I had thought of the fact that this would somehow come home to me for you and for Lauren. And she's just like, you know what? And he says he's sorry. And she's like, you're sorry? Go fuck yourself, which is what was at the beginning. And she's like, I'm leaving you and I'm taking the kids and you're not going to see us again, which they just got back together on some level. And now there was a whole thing with Max, which he'll show up in this
that's a whole other thing. We'll get there when we get there.
Yes, we'll get there. And so that's kind of where that is. She's leaving him. In the middle timeline, after the funeral, Twitch is getting this random phone call on the street. He says, "Who the hell is this?" And they say, "You're smart detective. It isn't difficult to figure out." Or, "You smart detective. It isn't difficult to figure out."
Yeah, I guess the accent would probably give it away.
"Don't bother looking around. You won't see me until I want you to."
And
that's probably a terrible South African accent, but you know what?
Keep it in. I'll double it.
Keep it in. Double it, triple it, put reverb on it, auto tune it,
So
turn it into
he
a
says,
song.
so Twitch says to whoever's on the phone, does it rhyme with Udaku? And here's where we're just directly calling back to that first arc, which, you know, the very ending of that first arc is Joseph Udaku on a boat being told that his daughter is dead. And it ends there. And so, you know, Twitch is looking around and the voice on the phone is saying, "Don't bother looking around. You won't see me until you want to." And Twitch just says, like, "Listen, if you want to come after me, but leave my family alone." And the voice
You
on the
mean like
phone,
you left my child alone?
yeah. And so now it's very clear that
Yeah.
this
Uh,
is
uh,
Joseph Udaku, or somebody
yes.
related to Cecilia at least. So,
And Twitch says, "Oh, that stupid, very British word was your daughter." And he says a very rude word. And the guy's like, "What did you just say?" And Twitch is like, "You heard me, except now she's a dead, very British word." And the guy's like, "Go get him now." And so it's all a ploy to draw this guy out. Meanwhile, in the third timeline, Sam has showed up to visit Twitch in prison.
he's looking very much like Michael Madsen.
He is very much. And Twitch is kind of just laying on his bunk staring at the ceiling.
Michael Madsen would have been a great casting for Sam.
Oh, that's true.
R.I.P.
That is true. Yeah. Michael Madsen would have been fucking great.
Wow.
If they had done it before The Dark Knight, Gary Oldman would have been a good Twitch with him.
Oh, that would have been great.
I mean, but that's why he made a good Commissioner Gordon. So
yeah, that's true.
Also, fuck that guy.
I mean, yeah. I mean, better than the Twitch we have. Fuck Jeremy Renner too.
Fuck them all. You know what? Kill the celebrity in your head. I want to say real quick while we're just talking about the art and how Twitch or Sam is very Michael Madsen here. Once again, each timeline has its own art style. This time, I am just absolutely enthralled by the middle timeline, even more than before.
The colors are so incredible.
It is such a good synergy of the line work and colors. Very Darwin Cook, like very much like Parker kind of vibes. Yep. Like the close up on Twitch's face and the voice on the phone, like his mouth. It's so good. And like the emotion that's being communicated just through those panels and those close-ups. There is a page of panels of each timeline where they're just lining up so fluidly, where it's like, okay, on the left side, it's Helen's face being like, sorry. And then it's Twitch saying like, oh, that stupid C word, I'm not going to even say it on the podcast, was your daughter. Maybe I've said it before. I don't know. And then Sam, who is visiting Twitch, has lit a cigarette, and Twitch says, put that out. And he's like, what? I thought you started. And then you've got Helen leaving. You've got the close up on the other guy's mouth.
I need to call out something really excellent that Andreyko's doing here.
Okay.
The page you're just talking about, right? Top panel, Helen leaving, Twitch saying Helen. Middle panel, close up on the mouth. What did you just say? And then Twitch close up on one eye, kind of quarter of his face, saying I quit. And how that all kind of works if it was the single bit of dialogue only in that first panel, or like it's so good. Like I was like,
no, it is good. There is that is the frustrating thing about this arc, as we'll continue to get into, is there's some real artistry here. Yeah. And like you said, it's a swing. And I think by the end of this, it'll probably be one of those many episodes where by the end we're like, okay, it was actually pretty good on a lot of levels. But artistically, it's great. Again, one of my favorite like back-to-back panels in this is the close-up on Twitch's face when he's insulting the guy's daughter, and the close-up on the guy's face next to him when he's like, what did you just say?
Yeah.
There's so much emotion conveyed in those, and I love the like very just quick penman like sketch of the like fire escape, or not fire escape, but the stair stoop in the background. It's all so good. And then of course the third timeline being very noir, it all works so well. And like the colors in the middle are very vibrant, while the colors on top are very muted, and the bottom is essentially black and white, maybe like with a like sort of darker green or blue wash on it. And those middle ones are so vibrant, and it conveys the emotion of each timeline very well, because this top part, they're in this moment of like ongoing trauma, and it's very dark, but the colors are still kind of like very raw.
Well, also there's still like life in that first set of panels.
Yes,
In the middle,
exactly.
it seems like an explosion. And
Yes,
the
it's the
bottom panels,
explosive emotion of like dealing with this
the
grief in the
aftermath of
worst
everything that's
way.
happening. And that's from multiple characters, right? That's not just from Twitch. That's also from Joseph Adaku here and how he's feeling. Really, really cool. And then the end is this sort of like shut off, shut down,
All that's left is
stark.
the like gray depression and darkness. It's again, the artistry of this arc just across the board is really striking.
Really impressive.
In terms of script, pacing, it actually works really well. And like again, there's so much communicated in the art that
it makes it hard to talk about in
but
an
also
audio medium.
I can't help but say right off the bat, I gotta recommend looking at it.
Yeah.
You can get the entire collection of Sam and Twitch, the first volume, and Case Files, and a few other editions
For like $50, right?
in one omnibus. And it's like, yeah, it's like a $59.99 cover price. I got it for probably 30 or 35 or $40 from like a bookseller or something. So yeah, it's available. It's easy to get, and I will say this format of the omnibus serves it pretty well because of the way the
No double
pages
page
are laid
spreads
out
and
and the way that it's paced. It makes for a quick read.
also it lets you
So
kind of, because it lets you read across a little bit, which is maybe not necessarily how it was intended, but allows you to kind of read these double pages in sort of chunks that are really interesting. It's interesting. Like I like when comics try to like play with form a little bit, and this one
yeah, we talked
definitely.
about this where this is kind of the only storytelling that only comics can really pull off this cleanly.
Yeah,
Like
but also
that set of panels where it's almost they're all in conversation with themselves but in separate timelines. Like you can do that in a movie. I mean, look at like Pulp Fiction or Weapons or something like that,
yeah,
where you have those. But in comics, you can do it in a way where you immediately process all three, and you can see it as both three images and a single image. And that is just the beauty of sequential storytelling and of the comic art form and the art form of the comic page. The more we talk about this, the more I'm kind of loving how stripped back they are in terms of panel structure,
yeah,
and how forward they are in terms of stylistic structure.
agreed. I have a question for you regarding that. If you cut up these comics and put them all in order,
Mm-hmm.
do you think this story works?
I don't think so. And part of what makes me think that is that's kind of what we tried to do and how we tried to explain it
Yeah, and
starting
it didn't
out.
really work.
And it was just like, this is a jumble. Maybe that's because we didn't have it laid out like that in front of us.
Sure.
But I don't think it would have the impact of,
Wasn't
again,
intended that way either.
no, it wasn't intended that way. I think there would be some advantages to reading it that way, kind of like the chronological edition of Final Crisis, where like you can read it in the order
That it
that,
happened
and not
more
like
so.
theoretically because it plays with timelines again.
Yeah.
And then there's like there's manga that has been Americanized, printed right to left. The old volumes of Akira from Epic, the Epic Comics era, are like that. There's a lot. And so sometimes that can make it, like, I won't say easier to read, but more natural for an American or Western audience.
I got those real reprints.
I need to get that so bad. I have 2 of the Epic trades. I actually want to complete those. But anyway, yeah, we talked about that last time too. But I don't think that's the format for it. Like, if you ask me of the definitive format, I would not say go with the chopped and screwed Americanized version.
Yeah, no, of course
because
not.
they're not good to read, but and not that you won't get anything out of them. I think they're fucking phenomenal, just as the originals are. But it's kind of like
for
Star
what they
Wars.
were more than how that is presented. Whereas I think that how this is presented is so crucial to, I think, what Andreyko is trying to get across. And having just reread Udaku, yes, he's riffing off of his friend's arc. It is a direct follow up
than just
He's not aping him.
No, it's not. I just mentioned Star Wars. He's not doing The Force Awakens where he's just doing a cover version or whatever.
Right.
He's trying to do an Empire Strikes Back where it's really a follow up that plays up on the tragedy of that arc.
A Last Jedi, if you will.
Sure. I remember we had a long discussion about that. I mentioned our old podcast before, Comics Will Break Your Heart, still out there somewhere.
It is out there on wherever podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to all those.
We had some good episodes. We also had some hard episodes.
We covered some things that we've covered on this show now.
Yeah, that's true.
Ben Templesmith specifically.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah. And God,
and enemy of the pod, David Pepos.
What was I going to say about that? I was going to say, oh shoot. Well, I lost my train of thought.
I'm so sorry. I interrupted you.
What were we talking about just now?
Mostly form of content and how we engage with it and how it's, you know.
I can't remember what I was going to say about our old podcast. I'm sure it was very profound, but I'm playing ADHD, the home game.
That's all right.
It's all fun and games. Okay, back in that third timeline, Sam puts out a cigarette and he's like, "Are we ever gonna talk?" And Twitch kind of hits him. He's like, "About what? The weather, the Mets, your cholesterol?" First off, go Mets! Big fan of going to see the Mets in the stadium that time.
That was very fun. One of the things that I also, in rereading the original Sam and Twitch arc, is that, like, Sam and Twitch's dynamic has always been played as a joke. However, when Twitch wants to be nasty, that he's holding some of that in him.
This is a man whose discipline has turned to rage.
Yes, and it doesn't happen often, but when it happens, it's very scary. And in the original arc, he expresses to this internal affairs investigator that, like, his the cholesterol line specifically is like a line almost from, it's like a reference back to that.
Right.
But he cuts Sam down so hard in that moment. However, it's right before
he was just vicious to the guy about his daughter too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we're seeing him get harder and harder, and we're seeing that
we're seeing it happen cascading down the page.
Yes,
it's kind of great. Like
Helen leaving him, what happens as a result, and where that takes him.
It's also
working great now that we've kind of figured it out. Halfway through the arc, it's working well.
Yeah, well, I think they've gotten better at doing it across the arc is the other thing too. Agreed. I think that the scripts are much tighter. I think they're starting to realize, like, oh, I'm playing with something. I'm playing across time, but in a way that needs to really communicate with itself.
Like you say, it rhymes. You know what I mean? Like, you can see that meter in it in a way. So.
But the other thing too is, I think we since we didn't cover Udaku and really get into it, one of the reasons that Sam sticks by Twitch, even though Twitch, quote unquote, sells him out to an internal affairs investigator, is that Twitch says, like, hey, Helen left me, took the kids, it's been a couple months, and he's like, you never told me. And he goes, what was there to tell? I already made the choice. I made the choice to stay here and keep doing the job with you. And so when Sam realizes what Twitch has given him, essentially, he goes, "Oh, I get where your anger in those that venting was, I get where that was coming from. So you stuck by me, I will stick by you." And they remain a team. And it's a great little bit by Brian
I've
Michael
had
Bendis.
that experience with friends before too, where it's like we've gone through dark things on our own and supported each other. And so when the time comes to be like, okay, I went through something rough. I know you're going through something rough. I'll offer you that same grace.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
I wasn't the best friend to you when I should have been, but it was because I was dealing with this other thing and you recognized it and said, "Hey, I get it. It's okay."
Yeah.
I mean, it's true friendship. I think that it's very rare that we get to see this between characters in any medium, like as effectively as I think Bendis does it in that arc, and that Andreyko kind of retraces here to, like, Sam recognizes that he just has to take it all. He has to take whatever Twitch is going to give him, even if it's negative. And
that is exactly what's going on in this scene between them now, where Sam is trying to say, like, if you think your martyr thing is going to make me want to testify against you, you're dead wrong. And Twitch is saying, what are you afraid of? Just tell them what you saw. And Sam is kind of telling him, like, look, I saw my best friend take this down the psycho who killed his kid. I saw the same twisted fuck who first got off his own daughter's arm. And you know what else? Instead of putting Detective Max Williams on trial for murder, I think you should give him the key to the fucking city. And Twitch is kind of telling him, like, look, you can't go down for me. I'm tainted now. They'll think you're dirty. And Sam's like, look, if you think that's going to make me stop defending you and standing by you, you got another thing coming. And so another important parallel about what's going on here is Twitch is trying to reckon with that with his wife, that same choice of, like, I'm going to stay on the police, even though she clearly wants him to stop. And we're seeing the consequences of her leaving, saying, like, no, because you are a cop and because of all this and because you can't let go of this and prioritize your family in the way that you need to, I am leaving. Meanwhile, Sam is there saying, no, everything you did was right and I'm going to defend you until the death. And you see the immediate parallel between those relationships. Man, this is a well-written arc.
As in the middle, Twitch is having this face off against this car coming at him, pulls his gun out, starts firing, but who should pull up in the driver's seat but Casey? And, back in that first arc, they don't even, like, make out in that first arc, but their connection is so clear.
Well, sometimes when you have been with a person as long as, like, Twitch has been with his wife and been through so much, and they have
even the smallest, like, this emotional connection,
army of kids,
feels like
it can feel very profound.
Yeah.
But yeah, Twitch takes aim and shoots off not the she shoots off the license plate.
Yeah.
Which is going to become crucial. As that's happening in the middle timeline, Helen is explaining that she's leaving, and at the same time in the bottom, Sam is pleading with Twitch and saying, don't you get it? They're trying to fry you. And when he goes to shoot, in the middle timeline, like you said, KC pulls up in the driver's seat. He goes to shoot her, and she says, not this time, Twitch. And the gun just clicks. That's when he finds the license plate, which has on it a diplomat tag.
Yeah.
And he suddenly knows who is behind this definitively.
Again, if the accent didn't give it away.
Yes. And, he now has the proof that he wants for himself.
Exactly.
In the bottom timeline, Sam grabs a hold of Twitch and is like, don't you get it? And Twitch kind of just snaps out of it a little bit and quips at him. And he says, you're pulling my chest hairs. And Sam goes, what? And he goes, you're pulling my chest hairs. And Sam's just like, Jesus Christ, you made a joke.
But notably, he says, I said, you're pulling my chest hairs, sir.
Sir. Yes, exactly.
And it's such a good little, like,
Okay, I get it.
That's
We get
Twitch.
it.
He's like back a little bit.
He trusts Sam again a little bit in this moment.
Yeah.
In a
It's
way he
great.
hasn't had in a long time.
Here's
And
the thing. These issues, it's not this issue I have a problem with. It's as it goes on, I am more and more confused.
Yeah, the ending is a little bit what the fuck. And now that you explained Udaku at the beginning of this episode, it will make more sense.
Sure.
In terms of what happens, but not so much the why. Anyway, to get it further into that, Pierce, hit me with the credits for Sam and Twitch Case Files number 5.
I won't because they're exactly the same, but I will read the summary to just
perfect
get through that. Case Files Sam and Twitch number 4 summary. Twitch's wife Helen can't take her husband's risky career anymore and leaves with the children. The madman behind the terrorizing of Twitch and his family shows himself by almost running Twitch down with his car, but he leaves behind a major clue. And Sam tries to snap his old friend at the emotional void that Twitch has inhabited since the death of his child.
There you go.
By the way, if you want kind of a timestamp on these issues, it's November of 2003.
How close is that to the story of like Max as a vampire?
That's a great question. I can find out for you in just a second.
I thought about it and didn't remember to look it up.
Is that Salvation Road?
Yeah, I think so.
I want to say that's what it is. Great radio right now. Sorry. Oh no, it's the Kingdom.
That's right.
Hold on.
That's right, because
it's definitely the Kingdom. I remember that arc well. So the Kingdom Part 1, dedicated to Marc Andreyko, is 2001.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, April 2001.
Okay.
So in real time, it's been a couple, 2.5 years.
Max has clearly moved on to some different shit, as we'll get into in this. So back in the first timeline, Sam and Twitch, while they're trying to figure out what happened to Twitch's daughter, they're poring over photos of the related to some of their previous cases. And Sam is saying, let's get some food in you. And more importantly, some food in me. And Twitch is just like, I can't. I got to keep working. I never realized just how many freaks we've dealt with. He says vengeful Frankenwomen, obviously Suture, pedophile clowns, which, clown is definitely that in some of these. There's that whole arc where he kidnaps Cyan. It doesn't get into that.
Thank God.
Yeah. But, and then he says, even those who help us seem like first cousins of the Crypt Keeper, and we get a little glimpse of Spawn here.
I will say that the original Udaku arc does have an incredible Spawn moment. That is Spawn. Spawn only appears in 2 pages. He pops down. There's like a nice splash page. Pops down in front of Sam and Twitch, and they're like, "Yo, what the fuck?" And he's like, "I have need of you." And they're like, "We're working on something here. Fuck off." And he's like, and then he just disappears. It's just a great little moment where they're like, "No, we're doing something right now." And he's like, "Oh, okay, fine, whatever." It felt like Bendis got the note, like, you have to throw Spawn in here. And he was like, all right, I'm going to do it like this.
Yeah. So in the middle timeline, Twitch has brought Sam along to the South African embassy to confront Udaku, who is, of course, a South African national.
Well, it's for Ambassador Vanderwall, because that's who the plates belong to.
Right, but he knows Udaku is here. He knows that, or at least he suspects and believes that he's being harbored in the embassy.
Yeah.
Sam is like, I don't know if this is the best way to handle this. And Twitch is just like, I didn't ask for your opinion. They won't let him in, and he just straight up shoots the lockout. Pretty sure Mythbusters proved that's usually not possible.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it because the lock mechanism would stay in the door and the wall, and you would just blow up? I guess it depends how big the lock in the gun is.
Right. I'm sure. Well, okay. So
like a bazooka would work.
Sure. And sometimes they use like a shotgun on the door itself to like create a hole next to the thing, to the knob.
Hmm.
But a doorknob is pretty thick metal, and if you shoot it, you're more likely to just cave it in and break it and jam it in place.
Oh,
Locked.
well, interesting. Thanks, Adam Savage.
Yep. And the other guy, Benjamin Snurley.
Yeah, exactly. Nailed it.
That's him.
They go in. I love when Twitch like takes the lead over Sam. One thing that Todd said at the beginning of this book that we covered the last episode is that like these two guys are both very good at their job. And one thing that has been repeated to us and that we've seen repeatedly is that they do trust each other inherently. So like Sam was never going to like grab Twitch's arm and be like, "Don't shoot the door." He's kind
Right.
of like, "Fuck, all right, here we go. Like, I'm here."
Yeah, we're
So
in
it's
this.
cool.
So Twitch barges in and he's like, Ambassador Vanderwall, please. And the lady at the desk is like, please, no, I'm an American. I just work here. And the ambassador comes out and says, don't worry, I'll handle this. Twitch throws the plate at him and he's like, this is about your embassy housing a murderer. So in the middle timeline, as this is happening, or in the bottom timeline as this is happening, Sam is getting ready to go testify in the trial. He cuts himself shaving. He makes his way through like the wave of press who are like, what will you say? Did he do it? Is he guilty? He makes his way into the courtroom where the prosecution calls Detective Samuel Burke.
One thing I like about the crowd of press is that Sam and Twitch for like a split second were pretty famous.
Yeah.
So it is kind of like journalists
They've been
being
in
like,
and out of
"Oh
the
shit!"
news. Like this guy's these hero cops. Yeah.
So it's kind of a big deal.
Love that panel too. The way it's like the bluish gray tone of it. There's almost a bat symbol hiding in the back there, making it feel very Gotham-y.
Yeah.
And it's just a great, like, really great layout and framing. Some simple line work, a focus on storytelling and emotion, just really shows the best of what this kind of comic art can do.
Morse is really good at finding the moment. I think that a lot of times when we talk about narrative storytelling, and we've run into this many times with Spawn because of the type of artists that typically work on the book, is crazy anatomy, kind of like they're finding a guy in the middle of a pose that like in an interstitial panel doesn't really work. But here you don't get you don't get the space to have like a wasted panel. A wasted panel means you failed. And I think Morse kind of hits the nail on the head over and over and over and over again.
Really, really does.
Almost a little bit, in a way, reminds you like a little bit of but without the thing that's kind of incredible is that there's not captions. Right? Oh, the worst version of this story would be this, which is kind of like how Marvel's kind of is, right? Where it's like a lot of photos of stuff, just kind of like,
yeah.
I put photos in quotes. Sorry, everybody. Yeah. That's but like
I like Marvel's.
Me too.
Interesting thing. It's almost
it's its own thing. It's its own thing. But this like would be bad if it was like heavily narrated.
Because the captions would break the 3 timelines. There would be no way to. Whereas the dialogue doesn't. It's easy to understand. The dialogue exists in the moment of the panel, and like you said, it's really the art is really about finding that perfect moment, that like most exciting 1 second that tells the entire story,
which is a really, really tough skill. Very tough skill. I think anybody that has ever made comics will tell you, especially if you don't draw, like I only write. I have a very hard time finding the exact moment in words, and I have to very heavily rely on my artist to translate a little bit. I describe 6 things and go, I don't know, pick one. But anyway,
so, yeah. Sam takes the stand and they're kind of interrogating him about basic stuff. How long has he been your partner? 12 years. And this man is Detective Williams. And Sam's like, yup. And he says, and did you, Detective Burke, see Detective Williams shoot an unarmed South African national in cold blood? While this is happening back in the middle timeline, in the original timeline, Sam and Twitch are kind of just debating over what's going on. and Sam brings Twitch a glass of whiskey, and
because Twitch is just kind of pulling his hair out like any of the crazy things that we've seen could have my daughter.
Yes,
Why can't I figure it out?
Or some new monster, he's like, anybody could have her, because he hasn't gotten the clue yet in the first timeline. Keep saying the original timeline. That's maybe a weird way to say it.
Yeah.
It sounds like alternate timelines. But in the first timeline, Twitch gets dropped off by Sam, wanders into his apartment and sees something weird. In the middle timeline, the police have arrived to confront Twitch, and they're saying, "Come on, Williams, don't make us do this." They got their guns trained on him, and Twitch is just like, "Okay, but tell him I'm not swayed so easily." And up in the top floor, we see, looking over the railing, we see presumably Udaku, looks like the same guy who was in the car, and KC. So back in the third timeline in the trial, they've asked if Sam saw Twitch commit a murder, and Sam says it ain't that simple. There ain't anything simple about it. And the lawyer says, well, that's what we're here to discern now, isn't it? When Sam walks back into his apartment back in the first timeline, or I guess this may be his house, he sees who's sitting there. Someone has come in. He draws his gun. He walks in and he sees who should be sitting there but his son, Max.
Yeah.
Late of being a vampire.
And apparently recently it looks like he's wearing like a military uniform. He's got his hair cut short. He's not the kind of cool grunge kid that we met back in 106, 107, or 107 specifically.
So as Twitch is leaving the embassy in the middle timeline, the villain says, such a shame to see a good man crushed by unfortunate circumstance. And KC says, yes, it is. Meanwhile, back in the third timeline, in the courtroom, a voice comes from off panel and says, perhaps I can help you with that, Mr. Prosecutor, in response to saying, we're here to discern what happened. And
good place to end.
It is. And also what I like is there's 3 cliffhangers here.
Mm-hmm.
We're wondering what's happening with KC, because obviously if you recognize her, she apparently died in her last appearance, and then through this arc has seemed to come back to life.
Right. She had her grave robbed,
but her body was still in there.
Right.
Now we'll have some understanding of how that works, because her body also had the word Udaku carved on it. Now that we know that Udaku was creating like these weird flesh creatures, we can kind of see where Casey is coming from here now.
Correct.
Where she might be. So, on that note, let's get into Case Files issue 6.
The final part of Have You Seen Me has the same credits. Thank God. So I won't read them. But I will read the summary. It says, Case Files, Sam and Twitch number 5. Working relentlessly to try and find his missing daughter, Twitch is surprised by the sudden appearance of his oldest son, Max. Twitch storms into the South African embassy in hopes of confronting Ambassador Vanderwall. As Detective Sam Burke testifies in court, a mysterious man arrives with some answers. And by the way, we haven't really talked about like the covers on this book. We did a little bit, but like Morse is really killing it. Yeah, the portraits and the covers are just these really excellent, like Morse doing his best Sienkiewicz impression. And it's cool.
Really layering in the textures and techniques and stuff.
Really cool.
Yes, beautiful, and really shows what he's capable of, especially across these 3 timelines.
Yeah, extremely skilled artist, and such an interesting fit for a story like this, but one that I've especially over the course of this arc, that I've really come to appreciate. I'm always, and I think I said this last episode as well, I love that Spawn it gets to be like a playground for artists to express themselves and not feel too honed in or hemmed in by what Spawn is, and that the universe of the book kind of gets to be whatever it wants. And you know what? To that end, I do wish, as much as I like many of the artists that are working on the Spawn books now, I wish we would see a little bit more of that.
Right, and there's a long tradition of it. Ben Templesmith, Ashley Wood, you
Yeah.
know.
Liam
So
Sharp.
Liam Sharp, yeah.
So
So okay, in the first timeline, Twitch is confronting his son Max, saying, "Yeah, did you get it? You didn't get expelled from military school again, did you?" And he's like, "No, they let me come home and personal things happen, like my sister getting murdered. But I guess you didn't call me. You didn't want to call your own son."
Max Williams looking the most like Dale from King of the Hill he's ever looked.
Yes, he looks like the clean cut version of his dad.
Yeah.
He looks like the military school version of his dad. And so there's something about this where at first I thought there's some inconsistency here
Okay.
because he cared so deeply about what was going on with his son Max that he got Spawn to turn him back from being a vampire. You know what I mean? And here he's like shuffled him off to military school. The thing is, here's the thing that clicked into place for me about this and for about Twitch as a character is that this arc, while it makes you care about him, just like that arc of him trying to save Max from being a vampire, makes you care about him as a father, makes you compassionate and like empathetic with what he's going through. He is an incredibly selfish person.
Hmm.
And once a problem is solved and it's not Twitch's problem anymore, it's out the door to military school. Twitch was so guilty about what he thought happened to Max. Max wasn't begging for him, he was begging for Max. And, Max is, I'm sure, glad to not be a vampire anymore, and he was happy to break that curse in the
Yeah.
story. But Twitch went through all that because of his own grief. And here he's so overtaken by his own grief over what happened that he takes responsibility for it in a way that his wife cannot tolerate.
Well, I think I think that's a really great observation. And I think it is actually something that really speaks to who Twitch is.
Especially because he keeps turning back to Sam and being like, well, the life as a cop and the life of my partner is the life that I keep choosing.
Well, and I think that the reason that he keeps choosing it is some of that inherent selfishness. But I do think that a part of it is like we do know about him being like a sharpshooter and
Well, he loves being a cop, and also
but I think it's because being a cop is an inherent in his mind. I think being a cop is an inherent good, right?
I think yes, and
That
I think also like many real world police officers, based on the character read that we're getting here, it feels very much like it gives him a sense of control that he doesn't have in his personal life.
agreed.
Where,
Agreed.
you know,
He can, like you said, close out a case. It's done. I don't have to
yeah,
think about it anymore. And unfortunately, he even treats the people in his life that way. So when Helen complains about something and he finishes it, then it's done. What do you have to be mad about? I finished it. Which, like,
right.
I got to be honest, on some level, I do understand that. I definitely have been like that in my own life where I'm just like, I did the thing you asked
Why
me to
didn't we
do.
move on?
Why are we still talking about it? Because
Right.
I didn't ever address the underlying issue.
I
I
think
only
that's a
addressed the
human
surface.
reaction when you're like exactly like you said, when you're not looking at that underlying level. And Twitch is relating everything back to being a cop. He's like, my adventures as a cop have come back to us. And no, they really haven't. What's come back on you is your history as an extrajudicial murderer, which whether you have any opinion about whether he should have murdered the person who threatened his family or not, or whether you would do the same thing in the same set of extenuating circumstances, the answer is that's not part of being a cop. That's
Right.
part of being someone who shoots people. And so, I mean, it is part of being a cop, but that is not the duty of a cop in the mind of someone who sees a cop as an ultimately good and heroic person.
I have a
So
question for you with regards to him shooting Cecilia. in the first Sudoku arc. How does that? So obviously, so much of his identity is wrapped up in his job. If this arc was similar, and he was not like say he was a forensic scientist, right? Doesn't carry a gun, is a police officer for all intents and purposes, but gets that opportunity to shoot the person threatening his family, not as a police officer, but more kind of as a dad.
Right. That's exactly what I'm saying.
How does that change the framing for you, though?
Well, I mean, I think that's how it becomes sympathetic on some level, as these, again, we're accepting that this is a story that we're reading and being told. I am not, to go back to my quote, my point about propaganda, I am not accusing anyone of purposely creating that. I think Brian Bendis is creating a morally tense and purposefully gray situation there, because that's the kind of crime writer he is. I think that that's exactly the question that it asks the reader to think about, is how would you react in that moment? Not as a cop knowing what your duty is, but as a man knowing that your family is being threatened and you have one real option to stop it. Not even just as a man, but as a human being.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because certainly people who aren't men can identify with that, but that's kind of the framing it gives for Twitch. You know what I mean? He is wrapped up in that sense of him. He is so wrapped up in that sense of himself as a father and family man that he's starting to suck at it. And the more he sucks at it, the further away from him it gets. And the more he's having this identity crisis about what he is as a father. And so it makes sense to me, both in that moment and in this one where he goes after the diplomat, that he would be like, no, I don't care. Whatever I have to do to protect my family, they've already been lost to me. I just don't want them to be hurt.
You know, this also works as a pretty good sequel to the Kingdom arc in a way, or follow up to the Kingdom arc, in the sense that, like, you can understand him becoming a bit more unhinged after another failure.
Absolutely. And he's going, that time he tried to, you know, there was a supernatural element of it. He wasn't just going and shooting a criminal or a diplomat or a whatever, you know. But yeah, I think that he's frayed here. I think that he's like turned into just a tight rope, like a knot of.
I have to say, I understand why these are the two characters that, like, Todd keeps coming back to as, like, if I do another movie, it's got to be Sam and Twitch. I want it to be Sam and Twitch. I want them to be involved. And it's not because I don't think that Al Simmons is compelling, but I do think that there is something to many of the writers who have not worked with that character not being able to speak to Al Simmons' lived experience in any sort of way.
Right.
That I actually weirdly think that Todd kind of maybe should have made. Twitch kind of is the family man that maybe Todd should have made Al.
Or that Al thought he was going to be.
I mean, I think he, in a way, Al did think he was going to be a family man, but that story gets so muddled so quickly by the married your best friend, had a kid, you couldn't get it up kind of weirdness of the early Spawn thing, that Twitch kind of becomes the course correction of, like, what if you had it's the Peter Parker thing, right? He can never have a real family because, oh my God, what would happen? And we've gone down that road with Aunt May and et cetera, et cetera. But okay, what if we took it to its more obvious end? He does have a family and they are threatened and it does happen. Andreyko and Bendis, I do think, go a step further and go, what if that's only really happening in that guy's head? What if he thinks that's what's happening, but what's really happening, like you're saying, is you just kind of suck because you're selfish. And I think there's so much, you know what? I think I texted you earlier and I was like, didn't love it. And now that we're talking about it,
there's a lot. Like I said earlier, I think we're
many such cases.
The artistry, when we start digging into that analysis, I think that's the beauty of this kind of long form criticism. That's what I like about doing it.
Same.
That's what I like about listening to, like, other podcasts that take these kind of, you know, approaches to media. in the middle timeline. So in the first timeline, you know, Max is confronting him about, why didn't you tell me my fucking sister was murdered? In the middle timeline, Twitch is getting investigated or interrogated along with Sam by about I assume by his commanding officer about what happened at the embassy.
Yeah, because Twitch pulled a gun on
the Ambassador Vanderwall looking for Udaku.
Yeah.
And he was kind of like shied away from it. He backed down. Those panels in that issue were so bright and hot and pink and like fleshy and vivid in a way of like the blood is pumping through these panels.
And now they
These
become these like
panels,
pastels almost and like
it
muted.
is like this bluish, almost pink purple kind of, yes, it's the cold light of day.
Yep.
It is the cold light of day where
So
you
cool.
are sitting there having to deal with the first level of these consequences. And he's also ice cold. He is, rather than hot and pointing a gun, he is ice cold. And he's just like, yeah. Well, look, you know, I think you'll want these. And he hands him his gun and his badge. And the chief is like, what the fuck is this? And Twitch says, I've got a problem that needs solving, and I wouldn't want to tarnish the fine reputation of the NYPD.
Good line.
In the middle timeline, or in the courtroom timeline, sorry, who should be intruding but none other than Udaku, the man who Twitch supposedly murdered. Now, the judge is immediately like, what is the meaning of this? And Sam is like, you got to be fucking kidding. The judge calls everyone into his chambers to find out what the fuck is happening and how the man who is the victim in this murder case
has just shown
now
up.
Walked in. So back in the first timeline, Twitch is reckoning with his son, and Twitch and Max is like, fuck it. Why would you start treating me like a part of this family now? And Twitch is just kind of considering it. Max continues yelling at him, asking where mom and the rest of the kids are, and Twitch is just like, well, it's complicated. Or he's about to say it's complicated, and Max says, let me guess, it's complicated. We see someone looking through a
like sniper scope
through
the window
Twitch.
at them.
Yeah. Meanwhile, back in the middle timeline, Twitch has Sam has been told by the chief to keep an eye on Twitch. Twitch is kind of speeding off, and Sam decides to follow him because Twitch leaves him in the dust. Meanwhile, Joseph Udaku, the criminal, is being advised not to leave the embassy because of Twitch. And Udaku is saying that policeman is an impotent gnat, no more, no less, and I refuse to be trapped in this mausoleum because of him. So good day. Sure enough, what should happen? But he gets confronted by Twitch. He's standing there with Casey, and he saying, what a glorious day, don't you agree, Casey? Then he turns and
Twitch is like, please give me an excuse to ventilate your skull, Joseph.
Yes. And as they are kind of taunting each other, Sam pulls up and says, you don't want to go down like this. And Twitch says, don't I? This isn't going to end until he's dead or my family is. Guess what I choose? The guy, Udaku, kind of taunts him. He's like, you American police talk like you're in some Clint Eastwood movie. Do they teach you that at the academy? And
it's
Twitch,
the class after marksmanship.
Cold as ice. Classic ice cold Twitch one-liner.
We're in Dirty Harry mode here, baby.
And what should happen? But he fucking double taps him. Now, back in the third timeline, we're going to get back to what happens there in just a second. Because in the third timeline, we're finding out that this is Udaku. The DNA and fingerprint records are there, and he's claiming that Twitch did shoot him, but he was wearing a bulletproof vest. The judge looks over everything and he's like, okay, I guess. So what about this fucking murder of a guy who's alive and not even harmed? And they're all like, okay, I guess the case is dropped. All charges are dismissed. That's what's being said right before we see Twitch shoot the guy. And Twitch does not shoot him in the chest alone. He shoots him in the chest and in the skull.
Gives him
and
the
there's
twitch special right between the
blood,
eyes.
yep, pouring out of him. We see him fall into the ocean. In the first timeline, we keep seeing someone looking at Twitch and Max as they are kind of sharing a drink. The crosshair is following them, and as Max is looking out the window, a bullet hole appears, and Max is blown away, is what it looks like here on this last panel of the main timeline. We see what looks like blood spray and a hole in his head. So now we've got 2 dead children. Max has died a second time. That is why in the timeline in the
middle timeline, he's just going so crazy.
Twitch is... the guy's dead. Udaku's dead. There's no way he survived. KC says... she's kind of pointing a gun at him, and he says, if there's any tiny piece of the KC I knew you'll know I had to do that. But obviously it's meant to be the
New
KC
in you.
I knew. Yeah, or the KC, yes. Or just the KC I knew, or whatever. And she says, Twitch, Max, and just jumps off. Back in the third timeline, Twitch is being acquitted. Udaku's attorney is saying Mr. Udaku has no comment. A statement will be issued prior to his return to South Africa. All I can say is we all feel a sense of relief. Back at home, Twitch is there with his wife and his 3 remaining daughters, watching this on the news. As they're watching this, Sam knocks on the door and hands Twitch back his badge. So Twitch has turned himself in. Sam is arresting him, or he's being arrested, and Sam is watching him be arrested.
Love that panel.
That's how we get to the trial. I love the panel of Twitch turning himself in, where the ink is all red, and it's just like
really cool.
His hands are bloody now, but you almost can't blame him because 2 of his kids were murdered.
And the last page is really interesting because it's the first timeline catching up to the second timeline, so it takes on the art style.
Yes,
which is so cool.
Yes, it's so good. Meanwhile, though, in the third timeline with Udaku, KC and Udaku are in a private plane headed back to South Africa, to South Africa. And KC is saying, the pilot is saying 2 hours until we land in Johannesburg, sir. And Udaku is saying that went well, didn't it? I did exactly as you directed me. No one questioned a thing. I did well, didn't I? And she says, yes, you did. And she clicks a little thing, and he starts to melt. I mean, it's honestly a gnarly panel. It looks really cool. Good. Now that we know that Udaku was creating these weird flesh golems, like, this makes more sense. And finally, as they are... the last panel of the entire story is the plane exploding over the ocean. And that's it.
Yeah. It's
a weird ending. Like, I get where it comes from, but the question is, why did they bring Udaku back? Why did they all get blown up? What is all of this?
It does feel like there's a deeper mystery that we just haven't been clued in on yet. It's definitely like you're kind of like left holding the bag, and you're just sort of, you're happy to see the characters that you like be okay, but you're also like, now what?
Yeah.
Now, I do have some back matter, but I think we should do final thoughts first.
Okay.
Because this is an interesting arc. You know, I said early on, I said, yeah, it takes big swings. I think it kind of works ultimately.
I think the artistry of it makes it work.
I think there's one thing that doesn't work. Okay. And I think it's that it has to be held back on us that Max gets killed.
Till the very last page.
And it's weird that doesn't slip out in a line of dialogue from somebody.
Right.
It
It
gets
is a little
vaguely
weird,
kind
but
of
like,
your child,
yeah,
not your
the
children.
children, yeah. And
So
so
it's the one thing that I'm like, I get why you did this. You needed to hold it back from us.
yeah, and like it makes for a striking panel, especially with that color transition and the art transition, as you
Yeah.
said. But yeah, there are some storytelling loopholes that had to be taken to leave us with that surprise.
It's not like when you watch like a really great heist movie or mystery where you're like, you want to watch it again because you're like, oh fuck, like all the stuff was like right there in front of me. This is kind of one of those where you're like, they use the format against me kind of to hold back.
I think that part, but I do think that it is something that if you went back and reread the whole arc now with knowledge of all three timelines, you'd get a fuller picture of each one.
Sure.
But I
I think that's
think you're
true.
right that that's not really a foreshadowed thing. It's just kind of there in the last issue, more
It
or
shows up
less.
there to sort of like be the even bigger uh like, and also too like that very even at the end, actually, here's the other very unsatisfying thing. Does Helen not know?
Right. See, that's the question. Is like, well, I
Because like,
guess we don't know because it's possible no one knows that Max died because no one knew he was there except for the school. So I don't know. It does seem like it's leaving the whole thing in a place where we want to
find out
continue to the
more.
next arc, which
Yeah.
maybe at some
Which,
point
hey,
we
that's
will.
kind of the point. But
That is what comics should do.
I think
Um,
overall, I was like, I think reading the first half of this arc, I was like, I don't know about this one. And then in reading the second half of the arc, I was a little confused. And then I reread the Udaku arc and I was like, right, 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 right. We're
right.
just
It
doing all the
does.
stuff from
I,
that.
I think if it
Um,
has a weakness, that is part of it. That it is it requires a lot of foreknowledge of a previous arc,
mm,
which not always a bad thing in comics, although this is the inaugural arc of a new volume of the
true, but it
title.
is the sequel volume
Yes, that's true.
that as we've been told is only coming out because the ending of that arc has been delayed.
Right.
So
It's complicated again.
yeah, I think that there's a sense that like, oh, you love Sam and Twitch, you were already reading the normal book. Just read this. Don't worry, we're gonna get the end of Sam and Twitch out, but like, here's the new book. I think it's to avoid the Houdini thing
Right.
of giving you or issues out of order,
Right.
essentially. So it is what it is, a loophole in and of itself. But
Yeah,
you
and
know
I
what?
think yeah,
Overall, I had a good time.
I think overall the artistry of it really won me out in the end. The art, the visual art in particular is great, but again, the script and like the pacing kind of working together so well. It is a very simple concept that does really wrap together in the second half.
I agree. I agree. I think Andreyko really finds a way to underline the themes of the book through dialogue in three different timelines that you can kind of read on not on any given panel altogether, but like you can find the panel where it all works together, and it's really cool. And
I'll
like,
say this, not that I think I could write any other Spawn comic, but this kind of structure, I wouldn't have thought of how to do this personally as a writer. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like it makes sense to me, and I can see how Draco pulled it off. But the simplicity and clean, like just this is what it is, nature of it, just really snaps into place.
yeah,
They don't
absolutely.
belabor it with too much.
It feels like it shouldn't work at all, and I think that we had a tough time explaining it at first, but then once we got there, we really settled into it, into what it was trying to do, and it settled into itself, and then we just ended up having a really good time. So,
Right.
uh, yeah.
I did. I did. Well,
uh, cool. I'm gonna get into a little bit of back matter. Let me pull that up. All right. In issue 4, we got some letters. It says,
all
"Hello,
right.
Mark. Thank you for placing my letter in case files number 3. It was a really good issue, and not just because my letter was in it. In the first part, Twitch must face the gruesome reality that his daughter has been seriously injured by the kidnapper. Great. I'm not going to recap what we just talked about. Reading my letter again, I realized I hadn't commented on the artwork. I was just so smitten by the story. But without this subliminal artwork, it would be nowhere. It's absolutely awesome. Morse is perfect for the job, as he is in line with what has been brought by the artists on the regular series. Even his painted work is perfect. The color palette in his painted work is a lot lighter than we've ever seen in the Sam and Twitch, but somehow it still feels dark. The gray coloring finally convinced me to buy the Udaku trade paperback. I didn't buy it because I had heard it was in grayscale and simply because I had the issues already, but I have them in Dutch. They stopped. All right. Because of the balloonless lettering in Sam and Twitch, some balloons weren't placed in the translation. Also, great to hear Paul Lee's coming to do this title. His work with Sam and Twitch number 24 was great. I can't wait to see his next 3 issues in that series. This is a letter not for this book.
Yep.
It feels like. Here's what Marc Andreyko had to say. Glad to hear you're giving Scott the props he is due. Every time I get new art from Mr. Morse, my jaw hits the floor. His interpretation of my plots and scripts is more than I have hoped for. He's a hell of a nice guy. If you want to see more of Scott's work and examples of his versatility, check out these highly recommended tomes. The Barefoot Serpent by Top Shelf, an amazing mix of a biography of Akira Kurosawa and a moving story of a little girl and her family coming to terms with the death of a loved one, and Visitations by Oni Press, another moving tale of ghosts, faith, and love that actually made me cry at the table in WonderCon 98 when I read it. So some recommendations for Marc Andreyko there for the episode. Next says, hi, Marc. Great job so far on Case File Sam and Twitch. I'm a fan of the Sam and Twitch series, and so, of course, I was going to check this out. I'm glad I did. I enjoyed the 3 tiers style. I hope it's only for this story arc. I love the story and the scene in the prison shower. Gee, why is everybody really a big fan of that scene? They were like very reminiscent of American History X, only with a different outcome. Congratulations on having the guts to include the scene. I'm waiting with bated breath for the conclusion of the story arc simply because I'm dying to see what happens to Lauren. Despite having no previous experience with the character, I hope she comes out of this ordeal with all of her fingers and thumbs.
Well, wouldn't that be nice?
I would like this question answered. However, are there going to be 2 monthly Sam and Twitch titles? If the stories remain of the same caliber, I sure hope so. Keep up the brilliant work. This is a different man named Martin.
Something just occurred to me.
Sure.
We never actually saw that his daughter was murdered.
That's true. We didn't.
So maybe it was Max's funeral, and maybe his daughter hasn't been found. Especially if they can make duplicates and clones. It just occurred to me that might not even be her actual arm. I mean, maybe
this is all a great point. Away. That's all a great point. Thanks for thinking about that now. But
at the end of the episode,
you know what? You know what? I think you're probably right. Actually,
it just took me a second to kind of put all that together. That like we actually didn't get confirmation that she was murdered.
She just disappears, and then we never see her again. Arm.
And the last thing his wife says Twitch's wife says is, "I still believe she's out there somewhere." So
that is true.
Maybe we'll find out.
Huh. All right. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe you can reread this and you learn something new.
Wow. Okay. I don't know if they they ever brought this up again. Let's see here.
I think I'm like going back through it right now.
Well, on Wikipedia, okay, never mind. That's
because it's like the funeral's mostly. I mean, part of it's an issue too.
Okay, there is some follow up that does come. Do you want me to spoil it?
Of course.
She shows back up mysteriously after months away, having been in Johannesburg, presumably being fucking cloned or whatever.
Oh, all right. Well,
so there you have it. That had to have been Max's funeral, so that's why they said
the funeral scenes in issue 1 are completely silent to get around. Yeah. All right, you know what?
We figured it out. Wow.
Good job, Marc Andreyko. You know what?
You know why it didn't occur to me before is because initially I was thinking that arc is done now. And I wasn't really thinking about
getting deeper into it.
So there you go. How about that?
Well, listeners, sometimes you watch us get hoisted by our own petard.
Do you know what a petard is?
The captain of the Enterprise.
Well, that's Picard. But do you know what a petard is? What do you get hoisted by your own petard?
Is it a sword?
No. Petard is an explosive designed to break through a fortification wall that is placed on the wall. It's like an old school explosive. Hoisted by your own petard means caught in an explosion you created.
Oh, well, good to know.
There you go.
Continuing with the back matter, there will be 2 Sam and Twitch books, but only until Todd finishes the first one. So
great.
After that, there won't be. Issue 5, back matter. Double check if there's anything good. I think some of the letters are not that great in these, but
we're kind of in the era here where letters were getting a lot less.
Well, what's really funny is it's just this one guy from Belgium keeps writing in and they keep printing his letters, which makes me think like he's the only one he's the only one sending letters.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, and it's hard to find this stuff now. Sales numbers for these books is like pretty tough to come by. All right, last issue has a new letter from a different Martin. Everybody that's written a letter has been named Martin so far. Hi, Marc. Sorry for not writing in time to see print number 5, but I thought I'd leave room for other readers of this fine comic book. So the other guy named Martin. After reading the letters page of number 5, however, I was shocked to see only the other Martin had written in. I figured there's a mass audience of crime fiction fans out there, and they should really be reading this book. Maybe people are put off by the 3-tiered storytelling process. I'm congratulating you for experimenting with this, though. It shows that not only the creative team of a comic book can be well creative. Also, I'm absolutely wrapped with the covers to date. They're simply gorgeous. Any chance of my being able to get the original artwork framed and hung on my walls at home? Well, shut up for now. Thank you for letting me have my say again. Again, not really a letter about anything. It was just saying, good job. It says, hey, Martin, bud, how have you been? I blame the internet for the lack of letters. Actually, people can post instantly on so many websites that the need to talk about the books is instantly sated. Well, what can you do? The response to the 3-tiered storytelling has been overwhelmingly positive. I knew from the outset that some folks might be put off by it, but I felt, and Todd supported me, that it was a risk worth taking. Now that Have You Seen Me is complete, I'd love to hear what people think about the story. I just read the whole thing in the correct form for the first time, and I must say I'm pretty pleased and incredibly relieved that it seems to have worked. I have to thank my collaborators Scott Morse, Jay Photos, the ever-patient Tyler Jeffers, and Graham Poobah Todd. This experience has only reinvigorated me as a writer, and I have many more Sam and Twitch tales to tell. I hope you'll stick around for them. Best, Marc.
So, it does make sense that they were drawn probably in 3-panel like grids or like all drawn each style in one,
especially with the watercolors in the second tier, because it was probably hard to be like, okay, we're gonna computer color 2 of these and then watercolor these. So
no, it looks great across the board.
Shout out to the team for figuring it out and making it happen. Shout out to Andreyko for having a really cool idea. And
great comic, honestly.
And also, it doesn't read like Bendis's comic. Like that is the
it's not a cover version.
Exactly. And I think that that's so important as a follow-up. It is Andreyko being like, let me play with your toys. Here's how I'll do it. And I think he ends up with something that is really effective, that is moving at times. I think the art goes a long way to helping you with that. Really tells you how to feel about it, which I think great comic book art should do.
Well, and now looking back at that funeral scene, I think it's pretty interesting because Herbie shouldn't have a funeral.
Oh, boy. Listen, we can't do this again. George, before we go, do you have any recommendations for our listeners?
Yes, I do. Last week, I used a gift card that my partner got me for my birthday a little while ago for the comic store. So I went down to the old local comic shop. Been a little while since I poked around in there, and I got myself a very cool hardcover box set of the first 3 Tank Girl comics.
Nice.
Like all remastered and shit. So I'm going to go ahead and recommend Tank Girl, both the comic and, honestly, speaking of like weird adaptations, I love the Tank Girl movie. I love it. not ironically, Lori Petty as Tank Girl is very specifically one of the first, like, oh, I want to be her kind of feelings that I really had. So, fuck yeah, Tank Girl.
Hell yeah. I am going to recommend kind of a comic that came out around the same time as this arc that we covered, but I'm going to recommend Kyle Baker's Plastic Man.
Oh, cool comic.
That Great I think Scott Morse did some work on. I don't think it's might not all be by Kyle Baker. I think there were some like variant covers or whatever Scott Morse did. But
Kyle Baker, some interesting cartooning tricks I've learned from his process.
Really fun book, great character, fun creator. Track down everything you can by Kyle Baker. He's really good. Yeah, and like, especially if you're just trying to read something a little different. And I think I get into this rut sometimes of like, I'm so burned out on superheroes or whatever.
Right.
And then you get like a cool take on one and you're like, all right, maybe I'm
superheroes are fucking cool.
And they should be fun and they should just be like whatever. But yeah. Yeah, rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. It really helps the show. Tell a friend who might like two people talking about politics for 30 minutes and then Spawn for an hour. That tends to be the format of our show these days. Or sometimes whether or not Herbie from Fantastic Four should have rights. He should have a funeral.
He should not have a funeral. He can have rights. He can't have a funeral.
What about Herbie the Love Bug? Can he have a funeral?
He's a car. No.
He's an actor.
He's a car.
He's an actor.
A car actor?
So is Optimus Prime. What's your point? Optimus Prime had a funeral.
That's stupid. He shouldn't have.
George, before we go, for Dotso Love the World,
he gave his only begotten Spawn.
See you later, Hell Spawn.
Spawnography!
Spawnography is recorded in Athens, Georgia, and Queens, New York. It's produced by me, Pierce Lyden. Our theme music and logo were composed by George Marston. Episodes come out every Monday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. If you like the show, please rate, review, subscribe. You can find us on social media at Spawnography or at SpawnographyPod. If you'd like to reach out to us directly, you can do so at spawnographypod@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and until next time, see you later, Hellspawn.